Business over drinks. Business over drinks. This is Dave and Tom. This is business over drinks.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Over Drinks. My name is Tang and I'm calling in from Singapore.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. My name is David. I'm calling in from Brisbane, Australia.
Nice. Great to speak to you again, David. And we've got a really special guest, Daniel. So I'm going to do a really short introduction to Daniel the way David normally does it, but I'm going to try and be a little bit more enthusiastic and maybe not as dead-eyed as David is. So Daniel Cerventus Lim is our guest today, and I'm really excited to have him on the podcast. So he's actually been an avid practitioner in technology and business for about 20 years, or a little bit more than 20 years, actually. Interesting enough, he actually started his first technology podcast in his tertiary years, in education. So he was quite young when he did it. And then it got invested in by the Multimedia University in Malaysia, MMU. So he's been working in startups and technology and consulting as well over the last 2 decades. And Daniel, jump in if I get anything wrong. But
no, fine. Right.
Oh, awesome. Okay, and based on his bio, he's been working on projects for a lot of the ministries in Malaysia and working with the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So that's really exciting. He recently set up his own business, entrepreneurs.my, that became one of Malaysia's leading resource for entrepreneurial content around Malaysia and Singapore, as well as Indonesia. That grew into his Next Up Asia, which actually was, I think, what to help you scale into just beyond the Malaysian, Indonesian, and Singapore market. He serves as an advisor, mentor, and a board of director a number of startups and businesses in Malaysia and around the region. And he plays an instrumental role in actually innovating in the entrepreneurial landscape. This was a terrible introduction, Daniel, and I apologize. One thing I also like to mention, and think this is going to be a really exciting part, is he's actually the founding curator of TEDx Scale, which is super, super exciting. And he was the organizer behind one of the world's largest TEDx events with 5,000 participants and a waiting list of 2 times that. So everybody give a warm round of welcome to Daniel.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Thanks for the introduction. I've been involved in the entrepreneur startup scene for quite a while. Entrepreneurs.my actually is a bit on a hiatus, but it exists in the form of our Facebook group, which has about, I think at the moment, 29,000 entrepreneurs basically. Yeah.
Nice. So we'll link to that in the show notes on our website, man, so that people can actually have a look at it and then join if it's something that's really relevant to them. Okay, so anyway, Daniel, great to have you on board, man. We're just going to jump straight into the questions. But before we do, maybe if we can share what they're drinking. David, what about you?
So I'm drinking, you probably saw this in the previous podcast episode. I'm drinking sake one. So it's Aussie-made sake. And apparently I can drink it just like wine. So you'll be seeing me drinking it from the bottle tonight.
Just the way you normally do it. Daniel, what about yourself, man?
I am drinking iced Americano. So it's not coffee, but iced Americano is, I think, my daily drink.
Oh, nice. Okay, very cool. So I'm drinking a Suntory Strong Zero, which is peach flavored, and it is delicious. So, all right, let's just jump straight into it, man, because I think we're raring to go and we have a lot of questions for you, Daniel. So, Dave, do you want to take the first question?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Aussie business owners listening to our podcast. And, you know, even for myself included, Malaysia seems like, you know, very far away. But I'd love to know, you know, if you're thinking of doing business in Malaysia, why Malaysia? And are there ways, as a follow-up question to that, you know, how could you enter Malaysia and start doing business in there?
Actually, it depends on the type of business, but in short, Malaysia is very business friendly. I think over the years, we have improved our process of actually incorporating a company, etc., especially to foreigners. But generally, in terms of actually doing stuff in Malaysia, is always advised to start having a local partner. You definitely need a local director for a lot of things, essentially when you start your business. But in short, there is like MSc status, different programs by the government to encourage business owners or entrepreneurs to come and set up over in Malaysia. So there's a lot of incentive. If you are an investor, there's this program called Malaysia Second Home. Malaysia Second Home enables you to have this stay-at-home visa for if you purchase a home, and then you can start your business from there.
Oh, really? How much? Sorry, interrupt. How much would it, if I was looking to buy a home in Malaysia? What kind of price range are we looking at?
So for Malaysia Second Home, I think you need roughly about 2 million ringgit, which is not a lot if you look at the grand scale of things. If you convert it to USD or Aussie or Sing dollar.
How much is that in Sing?
In Sing, they say divided by 3.
So, it's like 3.3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 600.
Yeah.
600,000.
For those who don't know the exchange rate, it's about similar to Australian dollar as well. So 300,000, around about that much as well.
600,000, man.
600,000.
600,000.
Your maths is really bad, Dave. Well done.
It is.
So
I admit it.
It's actually not a lot. It's actually a decent amount of money to start an investment over here to get a visa to stay in Malaysia. Then you can start exploring different opportunities over there. But if that fails, there's always visa, right?
That's true. And the thing is, I think what we need to put a little bit of context here is a 2 million ringgit house in Malaysia is actually quite a decent place. It's not a small place or like a tiny flat. It's like a legit big house.
If you're right in central KL, it might be like a high-end condo, but if you are out, if you're in the suburbs and what, you get a fantastic like double-story, maybe 3 to 4 bedroom unit. So
you're gonna get like a really nice place for 2 million ringgit. Yeah, so I mean it sounds a lot even in the grand scheme of things, but it actually isn't because you're getting a really pimp place. Right. So just jumping into next bit, right? So one thing that you touched on briefly was the fact that entrepreneurs.my has taken a little bit of hiatus, and you've started up your Facebook group. So we'll tag to that because I have a very strong feeling I'm going to get the name wrong. But it's got about 29,000 members in it right now. And I think what I shared with you earlier was the fact that I find it to be the most active and the best curated Facebook group in probably in Southeast Asia, right? At least from the startup scene. So I'm actually a huge fan of that. So maybe just you don't want to share all these secrets, but tell us what's the secret behind it.
So the funny thing is we had this group, we started this group probably about 11 years ago. And when my former business partner and I parted ways, we left him in charge of it. Then he left it hanging around there with spam for about a couple of years. And forgive me because it's like raining really heavily around in KL now. So he left it hanging for a couple of years, and we took it back December 2018. Started to clean house, started to kick off spammers and stuff like that. And at that point in time, it had like close to about 8,000 people. So within a year, odd like that, we grow it to like 29,000. So it's pretty interesting. I think a lot of it coming to the fact of that group being really supportive in terms of helping each other. So that's something that we try to ensure. And we also try to ensure that the people in the community play by a certain rule set. Like we do not generally allow a lot of self-promotion because if we do allow that, the whole group will be full of self-promotion and so on. But we want to make sure that people who actually find value in a group is like you're sharing a tip. Like one of the tips that I personally got yesterday, which I felt was so amazing, was this guy. Maybe in April, he was asking, how do I handle a client that is actually asking for discount, like unreasonable discount? And he posted back an answer like yesterday night. He was like, oh, it's actually fairly simple. So what you do is if the client is asking for a discount, you ask, what can you give me back in return? So you have a give or take. Can you give me a referral? Can you give me another contract or other stuff on top of that? If we can compromise on this, give and take, I can give you the discount. So that is actually, I thought that was amazing from someone that actually came in earlier asking a question, and he gave a very, very diplomatic solution in terms of how do you handle a difficult client.
Oh, nice. I actually saw that post and I responded to that post as well. So yeah, man, that's really cool, because I was actually one of the people who was responding to that post and was liking that post. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know you were going to bring it up, so that's awesome. Another question that I actually have, because I actually do curate and manage a couple of groups as well, like with a bunch of other people, and I've always wondered this. I've never brought it up to them, but like, can you actually monetize this in any way?
So there's always two schools of thought behind this. But I always think the answer is generally yes. I think what you need to think about is sustainability. To a certain extent, like this requires work, this requires time, this requires effort. I can do it because at the moment I'm technically on a long-term sabbatical, so I can sort of do it. But at the same time, it's something that I'm very passionate about. So I do spend a lot of time reading things that people have been posting and so forth. But monetizing it, you need to actually be a bit more transparent with the audience. So whenever there's an ad or whenever someone will do like a promoted posting or anything else, we will just make an announcement like, hey, look, this is happening, or these are the stuff that we are going to do. So just set ground rules with the community for them to understand that what are the things that you might be monetizing on. I know groups that have been selling merch. We don't do that. We do some promoted posts. Basically, if an advertiser that we believe that it brings value to the community, we're okay to accept that. So the money is something that we sometimes do. It's just like, okay, we will just, it's not a lot. I don't really ask a lot, but it's just ask enough like that we can just bring some of the regular contributors for a meal or two, or just buy a moderator a dinner or something like that. So something simple, yeah.
What's your motive for running the group?
I think personally for me, the group is something that because I have this constant need to learn, and I feel as an entrepreneur that the faster that you can shorten your learning cycle, the better you'll be. So a good example, like you do not want to be bumping around and having bad clients over bad clients and bad clients, or your user acquisition strategy is wrong. There's bound to be someone that has made those mistakes, or at least go through those roadblocks. And because you can learn from their mistakes and learn from their insight, you can find other ways to actually go around it. And that's something I find really valuable. And that's something that the group has actually been a source of knowledge and inspiration to me, because at the same time, like I'm helping to manage the group, but I'm constantly in awe with the grit, the hustle, the people who are constantly posting stuff, trying to get the word out in terms of their startup, or trying to look for investors, like trying to start a movement. Like those people inspire me. So it's really an honor for me to actually moderate that group.
Oh, nice. Okay, that was a really good response. Like my thing would be like, nah, just because I have to. But
it would be like, oh, because I can make money.
Yeah, no. I think Daniel just said that we shouldn't be looking at it from that perspective.
I think it's okay. You can still look at money, but you need to come. It comes down to a point. What comes first, like money or community? Because if you take the money first, you're gonna alienate the community. So, like, you need to. Every single group is different, so you need to find out what fundamentally drives the group.
Okay. Oh, that's a really good point, man. Switching tracks, right? Because I actually want to touch on this, because the first time I actually became like aware of you and I saw all the stuff you're doing, Daniel, was actually when you were part of the Type A breakfast in KL. Yeah. So I was like, because if people who don't know, Type A personalities is those who wake up really early, very productive, first thing in the morning, and they kind of just want to get shit done as fast as possible, most effectively and productively as possible, right?
Does that make me Type Z?
Yeah, you and I are the opposite of type A. I'm just gonna say that, right? Because we don't wake up in the morning. But one thing that was really interesting to me was, right, so how do you, like, if I was to come to you and say, hey, I want to be like you, I want to wake up early, I want to be productive. Do you think it's something that you can learn, or do you think that you're just genetically predisposed to being, like, just a morning person, a very productive morning person?
No, okay. So this comes in terms of behavior engineering, and so my work, my previous work before I took a sabbatical was actually we were hired to do social engineering for governments. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. What's social engineering?
So social engineering is essentially, is usually a hacking term. What you do is basically to find in terms in terms of a way to get people to divulge information, or get people. So like, for example, if I want to figure out a password to a system, the vulnerability is not just the software. It's basically you can actually call people up and figure out how to go and talk to them and get details. They can guess their password. So social engineering comes in various forms. So for example, Taiwan is one of, Taipei, for example, is one of the most recycled city in the world. Like, the people separate their garbage out, but that wasn't done like overnight. What happened is they created this change of behavior. They hijacked one behavior that enforced to change to another behavior. So what they will do, like every Wednesday, the garbage truck will come, brightly painted. It has a like a ice cream truck sound in the evening, so you know exactly when you're supposed to drop off the garbage in the garbage truck. And they will give you two options. Okay, if you were to just throw your garbage without separating out the garbage, it will cost you this much. If you separate the garbage, it will be free. Which one will you choose?
Wow, okay.
That's a good way to manipulate people. If you make them pay for something. Yeah.
But the fundamental is, look at what behavior that you can actually enable people to do stuff. Mm-hmm. So coming back to your question of type A or type B. So I am a fundamental belief that you have your most productive period. So some people work really well at night, some people work really well in the morning. But I just happen to be one person that wakes up early, and I find that my creative juice is really pumping in the morning. So I get a lot of stuff done in the morning. So that's me. That's just me. At night I would like to chill. I watch YouTube or learn stuff. But in the morning, that's the period that I feel that I can do stuff the most. So you got two ways of looking at it. One is to go with the flow, and don't resist your natural tendency in terms of that. But the unfortunate situation is a lot of careers do not allow you to do that. So, for example, when you work in a company, you have to wake up in the morning. You have to go check into work early in the morning, and so on. Okay, but that is, you're the most not productive hour in the morning. So essentially, I'm hiring you at a discount, not at a discount of productivity, meaning that you are getting paid for not doing as much productivity as I want. But if I allow you to actually function where you're most productive, I'm probably getting a better bang for my buck in terms of where I'm hiring you.
I strongly believe in that. My team we've got a flexi schedule as well. So, and it's really flexible because I'm fairly certain my consultants never actually tell me this. I'm fairly certain most of them wake up like at 11 o'clock and do work and shit. Because like they're just like, oh no, I was doing work. That's why I didn't respond to your messages. I'm like, all right. No, but we measure output, right? So I think businesses are going to start to realize that you need to measure output versus measuring time spent on something. Because that's a terrible measure of success. And Dave, nothing can help you, man. There's nothing can help you.
Yeah, so on that topic of nothing can help me. Oh, sorry, you go first, Daniel.
No, but if you really want to do, just figure out a way to hijack the behavior that makes you want to wake up in the morning. Like, what are the I will need to look at something that will enable you to leverage on one behavior to do. So, for example, if you want to start jogging, okay, a lot of times, like, oh yeah, I need to work out and stuff like that. I think Tony Robbins actually gave this particular behavior modification. It's like, yeah, just put your shoes, put your jogging clothes just beside you. Like when you wake up, that's the next thing you see. And yeah, sure, like spend a week just putting on your shoes. You don't even have to go out. Like just you just change into your jogging getup. Then after that, you'll be like, okay, you know what? Since I already put on my shoe, you know what? I'm just going to go for a walk. And that walk ultimately and then start into a jog.
You know what? One thing that's hijacked my behavior is getting a dog. So she's like, you might have seen her walking around. She has to do a poo at 5:30 in the morning. And because of that, and because I want to burn her energy so she's well behaved throughout the day, I have to wake up and take her for a walk. So it's helping me get some exercise. It's helping me wake up earlier, helping me be more productive. But one challenge I have, and we'd love to get your advice on this, is when I am in that zone of productivity, for example, I'm sitting in front of a computer, I'm easily distracted. I'm pretty lousy at it. Do you have any advice for people like that?
So the first thing to do is really to set what you want to get done. So essentially have a to-do list, and your goal within that 2 hours to turn off all distraction and just knock everything out. Like it's a game to you, basically. You just want to knock out as many things in your to-do list as possible. You might not be able to complete it. You might want to, let's say, for example, you set 10 items in your to-do list, but you only do 5. But that is still a lot better than a lot of people out there. So that is something that you can do. Just essentially set at the point of time when you're at a state of flow, that things are moving, you are just like, okay, knocking out your tasks one out another. You start to realize that, oh crap, slowly you'll be creeping out, like doing 11 tasks or 12 tasks is not an issue.
Oh, what if it's more fun to like go on Reddit, check social media? Is it just a matter of just getting self-discipline?
It's just a matter of allowing yourself. For example, there's actually a productivity technique called Pomodoro. What you do is essentially work for 25 minutes, chill for 5 minutes, and then work for 25 minutes. So every 25 minutes is a Pomodoro. So you like in 2 hours, basically that's like 4 Pomodoros with 20 minutes break. So you can just chill for 5 minutes, set a timer every time, work without distraction for 25 minutes, short enough sprint, and set a timer that you can just chill for 5 minutes, walk, browse Reddit, and when the timer hits, just go there.
Smash it.
Yeah.
For those who are interested, there are actually a lot of free apps. So you just Google Pomodoro free app to do it, or you can get a chicken timer or whatever. Sorry, is it egg timer? Egg timer.
Egg timer.
Do it.
Chicken time.
Yeah.
Well done, Dave. We'll put a link to a definition of and the study of the study of Pomodoro in our show notes. Thanks, Daniel. That was really, really interesting, man. I kind of want to go back a little bit though, because I think one thing that and it's probably my fault, that we kind of not skipped, but we didn't touch on enough, was really like Malaysia, right? So Malaysia as a business destination, Malaysia as a startup ecosystem, Malaysia as a technology hub. Because I mean, we have a team in Malaysia, Sync has a team in Malaysia, and I've go to Malaysia before COVID, like at least once or twice a month. And I'm a big fan. I'm actually genuinely a big fan of Malaysia. Not JB, KL is cool. But one thing that was actually very interesting to me is a lot of people in Singapore and then Indonesia for some extent as well have a preconceived notion about Malaysia that's incorrect. I mean, like they always think like Malaysia is not as good as it is. They don't have the correct infrastructure, and it's not really a great business destination. And you've probably met like way more people than I have when it comes to like, potential investors or business people looking at Malaysia, Daniel. So like, what are some of the weirdest things or the strangest preconceived notions people have had about like your country?
So first thing first, I think Malaysia sucks at PR. Like,
really they do.
They should hire you guys. Really.
Oh yeah, we do so much better for them, man. I can do a case study on just Malaysia alone.
So I remember. I think I had a student exchange like way back in Canada, and So I was talking to a Canadian student. I think this is this should be University of Ottawa, and University of Ottawa is like really prestigious, and the kids there are smart and so on. So they are. Oh, so where are you from? I'm from Malaysia. It's like, oh, where's that? Do you know where Singapore is? Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Do you know where Thailand is? Oh, yeah. There's a thing in between. That's where Malaysia is. So yeah, we're like. The worst one was actually there's this girl that was so excited. It's like, oh my God, you're from Malaysia. I've been to your capital. It's like, oh, you've been to KL? It's like, no, I've been to Singapore. It's like,
man, Singaporeans are gonna get really angry you said that, man.
no, we like, but it's our fault. Like we don't have a good branding in terms of that. We are neither here or there. Like, but that's the thing. We are really good generalists. We are very good cost. We are super cost effective, and I would probably say that we are not as hungry as Vietnam, but we are still fairly hungry in terms of the people here. In fact, there is actually a lot of really talented people who are like servicing businesses or clients are overseas. I see a lot of them in our entrepreneur group that are making USD, like having clients in UK, in Singapore, in Australia, but they enjoy the significant cost saving of actually being based in Malaysia. So for every $1 they bring in, that's like 4x for them. So that is, I to be honest, I personally, like, I secretly want to keep it this way. I want to keep it like Malaysia is this like secret place that, you know, like if you know, you know. So long time back, actually, there was a Penang, actually, was the Silicon Valley of the East, because there was so many like semiconductor companies that are being established there. The Xbox through Flextronics, although Flextronics is a Singapore company, it was actually partially manufactured in Malaysia. And there's like some Infineon, Intel was here. In fact, during the height of Bitcoin, there was a Penang company that was actually doing ASIC chip for Bitcoin mining.
Oh, nice.
So you got all this hidden stuff in Malaysia that not many people know, which I think is so fantastic that I feel like our Malaysian government is not doing a better job to figure out all these stories. But at the same time, like, this is one of those places that it's like El Dorado, like hidden, but you find gold.
That's true, man. Like the sad thing, right, is the main reason people know about Malaysia is because of the 1MDB scandal. That's quite sad, man.
That's sad, but like, yeah, I know it's 1MDB or the Malaysia airline. We get bad raps on that, but hey, I mean, like, Malaysia was a population of like 32 million people, and like I run one of the largest TEDx event in the world, and that when people find out about that, it's like, what? How the hell? We're talking about like competing with countries that have like close to 100,000, as 100 million people, and this small.
Malaysia is the most active, No, I want to touch on that a little bit further, man. In a minute though, and also I kind of want to like just mention this thing is, so when we first started Sync, and we started in Singapore and Malaysia at almost the same time, literally like a couple of weeks, and then we launched in Malaysia. And Malaysia was our fastest growing market pretty much the whole way through, except during COVID-19 kind of like just screwed everything up. But Malaysia was our fastest and our largest market by significant amount of time, like just by sheer numbers. Like, everyone was really excited, man. I would go, and the reason I travel to KL so often is we'd reach out to Malaysian founders and entrepreneurs and groups, and we'd get like 20 meetings set up in like a day. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to spread that across a week because I can't make 20 meetings in a day, but I'll spread it across a week. In Singapore, to get that number of meetings, I'll have to basically be on my hands and knees begging people, right? So, but Malaysia, everyone was really, I do that a lot. But like Malaysia was really active, man. Like they're really keen. They're hungry. You're right. They are very hungry about this. And what I've seen is if you give them the option and opportunity. One thing I'll say this, and this is probably not the most positive thing about Malaysia, is they in terms of having the right services available to them sometimes, because you have the hunger, you have the excitement, you have the people there, but having the services available to them, sometimes that's lacking a little bit. So maybe that's an infrastructure problem, I think. But if you give them those services, I think they do amazingly well, because there's enough people there that have the hunger and have the skill level to do it.
I think at the end of the day, it's really about exposure, and there's always a saying in terms of like, we never know it's possible until we see the first instant of that. So for example, for the longest time, there were so many people that do not believe you can actually build a successful startup in Malaysia. But PictoChat in Penang, 123 RF in Kelana Jaya, these are self-funded companies that are making millions of dollars. And
for sure.
Not even ringgit, millions of dollars. 123 RF essentially is like the third largest stock image company in the world, like third or fourth largest Malaysian company. And the thing is that you don't need to know, and a lot of times that we forget that this is so possible. Being a country that speaks multiple language, we can do interface with China, we can do interface with US. Our visa being a Commonwealth visa enable us to actually go to a lot of places. I think after Singapore, Malaysia has one of the more decent passport around.
For sure.
There's a lot of different opportunities that is undertapped, but it's the exposure in terms of the entrepreneurs that haven't learned to exploit it. They are always thinking about, and that's our downside. Like we think too small. We either think too big or we either think too small. Sorry, let me correct myself. We don't think too big or we don't think too small. I always got it's my saying, but I always get this wrong. So let me explain. If you think big, by all means go big. When I met Anthony, I met Anthony a couple of years back through a Kazana event. We were in this resort, and Anthony from Grab.
Anthony Tan's the CEO of Grab.
Yeah, and Anthony was actually jogging, replying a text, and chatting with me. Like doing all three at the same time. And you see the hunger in this guy. It's like, I don't care where this guy is from, his background or whatever. That level of hunger and hustle, this guy's going to be successful anywhere. And yeah, Grab is a game changer. Grab is something that most Malaysian companies would not be able to think that they can build.
That's Grab Taxi for anyone who doesn't know.
No, it's Grab. So they rebranded, and I think Grab Tag. So there was Grab. Grab actually started as My Taxi in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So they were Malaysian originally, and then they shifted headquarters to Singapore. But it's a Malaysian company with Malaysian founders, and not many people seem to know that. Actually, they just call it a Singaporean company when actually it's a Malaysian company.
Because Temasek did a fantastic job of actually investing in. I don't think at that point in time our sovereign fund Khazanah, I was somewhat privy to some of the numbers, but yeah, I don't think at that point in time our sovereign fund was actually keen to actually take that kind of risk because but Singapore had Vertex. Singapore is willing to take risk.
No, well, I mean, their Series A funding wasn't that much. It was 12. I mean, at that point, it was insane amount, which is 12 million. The reason I know this is because I was working with them from Series A to Series E. So when I was in agency on that side, Grab was my first big startup client. So we helped them through Series A to Series E, right? And if you got in at the ground floor, you made so much money.
Yeah.
Kizana's returns would have been insane. It's easy. Like I'm gonna use a startup term a little bit to like 10x. It'll be like multiple 10x.
Oh, it's like multiple, like that. This is probably 100x.
Easy. Yeah. By if you had just held on to like Series E, it would have been like 50x. Easy. But that's fascinating, right? Because I'm looking at Malaysia from being on the ground a lot because I'm just really in the weeds. So I'm not looking at from a high profile investor. Like I'm looking from the weeds, man. And one thing that I've always wanted to check with you is because I've been to all these tech events and stuff in Malaysia, and I'm actually a big fan because actually they're more active, they're more engaging than say in Singapore, Indonesia, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. So the ones that I've been to, like when you started TEDx Scale, right? Like what was your what was first of all, what was your expectation of it? And maybe you can also run through like how you like why and how you started it.
TEDx Scale actually, the why wasn't. I think the why is more interesting because why I continue it. The how I started it is basically a friend of mine. At that point in time, I think she was an intern in TED, and she just wrote me an email. Hey, we are doing this. Will you want to be part of it? I said, yeah, I know TED. I've been at that point in time. I know TED has been around for a while. I've been always wanted to go to TED, and like sure, like I don't mind because I had an exit. I was fairly free at that point in time, and I was like, okay, let's do this. Um, the first one was very interesting. We had Yasmin Ahmad, we had Roshan Kiran, we have a couple of very interesting speakers. But what was actually amazing is the fact that the second one, because the first one we were like, oh,
How did you actually start it? Did you just apply or?
Someone emailed me, said, shall I do it? Do you want to do it? If you want, just apply. And yeah, that's
So
it.
someone from, is it like TED, like a big
yeah.
organization? Wow, like that.
Also, like my friend was at TED, and she just dropped me an email.
Oh wow, simple as that.
Yeah, I'm grateful actually. So we ended up taking on a stand, like because previously it was like, okay, let's do this because it's TED. But as you're doing it, you realize that yeah, most people do not know what TED is. Like TED is like I can still go into rooms with like executive for Fortune 500 companies or GLCs. They have no idea what TED or TEDx is about. So it is as much as like there's a certain group of people who know, most people still do not know. So what was interesting for us is like, okay, this is an opportunity to go and find people that most Malaysians do not know. So we find amazing presenters that have a unique idea or doing something cool that most Malaysians have not heard about. So that's our purpose. That became our driver over the years. So we were doing that for like close to 10 years.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah, that's impressive. Yes, are you still active at TEDx Scale right now?
So TEDx Scale took a hiatus. We were supposed to start back again this year.
Okay.
Yay!
Okay, man. But we'll still
The big pause happened. So we just the big pause happened. So nothing is actually moving. So actually we were planning something quite interesting, like really different, because we took a bit of hiatus, so we got a bit of time to stack that and think like, okay, we've been doing it close to 10 years. What are the impacts that we want to do? And the team came back with some interesting ideas that we can execute next year. So fingers crossed.
How much freedom do you get as a TED promoter? Are the guidelines you have to follow?
Yeah, you essentially you're a licensee, but so you have their guidelines to follow. As long as you are not you're not doing anything against the guideline, you're generally okay. What you need to do if you're innovating is just to figure out a way to just talk to them. Like when we actually did it in a stadium, and we had this whole conveyor belt of goodie bag assembly. They were like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! We never see that before." Because there was a slide to bring stuff down and so on. And TED's been really supportive with a lot of the innovation that has come out from the grassroots actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, nice, man. That's exciting, dude. That's really exciting. So I'm aware that we're a little bit short on time. Dave, do you have any questions for Daniel?
I mean, there's a million things we can talk about, yeah, but just how like just to get my mind, because I'm naturally a negative person, right? And to even think as big as saying I'm going to host a TED conference, is there a particular, was that just an easy decision for you? What's involved with that?
Yeah, what's the mindset behind holding the largest TEDx conference in the world?
It's I do not know why we ended up. There's a logical reason for it, but the logical reason because every time when we organize something, our waiting list was 2x of our venue.
Got it.
So the demand was already there.
Yeah. So for example, when it started off when we did the first one, we had about like over 100 people sign up, 50 people came. That was a dud. The second one we had about I think 100 over people. Sorry, 100 people. Sorry, yeah. Then but subsequently after that, when we did like 200, the waiting list was like 400. So that gave us the logical confidence to actually do it. So then when we did 400, the waiting list was 800. And when we did 800, the waiting list was 1,000, like close to like 1,600, 2,000, and so on.
How do you how did you start to snowball your numbers?
I think it started off with the second one. We ended up doing a lot of partnerships. So we know what's our limitation in terms of, this is a non-for-profit. We don't, as much as it's a really expensive conference, we do not have as much budget as so many people. So what we end up doing is we do a lot of partnerships with different various groups. And all these various groups of people come together and help to spread the word. And we curate our audience in terms of through these various groups. So for example, we work with people who work with the migrant community, the migrant workers, or the refugee communities. We will end up working with people who are dealing with youth, or like underprivileged youth, or so on. So because of that, that enables a lot of different various conversation out of it. And ultimately, the other thing that we did, I think that contribute to a lot of demand was actually, we talked to people that were supporters. Well, we communicated with them years in advance that, hey, we want you to be part of this in the future. We want you to be part of the audience first. Come and experience, come and understand what is this about. And your organization can be part of this next year or so on. But we just took a long-term view of this and figure out like, what can we do to engage people that we want to be involved in.
Nice, man. That's exciting. That's something that I'm always very interested in, because like TEDx Scale was very active, at least like prior to your small hiatus that you guys took, was very active. TEDx Singapore, as far as I know, doesn't do anything.
Oh no, so TEDx Singapore has a new stewardship. Like Dave been quite. This been actually, so the way Dave runs it is very different from how I run it, because Dave is more looking at, Dave's on TEDx Singapore was actually more looking at, okay, how can we run it as low cost as possible without fundraising and so on. So he would do like very interesting thing, like, okay, we're gonna do instead of doing catering, like let's bring a favorite snack we can share with the rest of with everyone else. So like he would do like potluck. So he would do very interesting stuff over there. So if you ever had a chance to experience what Dave curated, it's always really interesting. But he wasn't, because I think that logistic-wise and cost-wise, he wasn't looking at doing a bigger event. Whereas TEDx KL had a bit, because being part of KL, our cost structure was a lot cheaper in terms of venue, but it got really expensive as the venue got bigger, because anytime it's easy to find 100 people venue compared to finding it in Singapore. You need so much permission and other stuff.
That's true, yeah.
So I do understand where the limitations are, and we work with constraints. And he did really well with his constraint, actually. He has moved to Melbourne, really fantastic guy, actually. And but they wrote a book, which he has handed over the reins to this wonderful curator called Vivian. So Vivian has different plans for TEDx Singapore. So I think you'll be seeing a lot of really amazing stuff coming out from TEDx.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because I haven't seen anything recently, so that's why I was wondering. Okay, cool. I'll keep an eye out, man.
Everything is happening virtual, so that's
nice. Yeah, like, probably because I'm also not part of the community, man. That's just really sad on my part.
Yeah, because Vivian and I, we organized a regional TEDx conference with about close to about 1,000 participants from New Zealand to Afghanistan.
Oh, nice. That's exciting, man. That's exciting. Oh, David, make some noise. I think you got Lyra on your lap.
Hello. Say hello. Say hello. Say something. It's my
Hello.
puppy for those who are listening. Lara, say something.
Oh,
No,
that's
she
so
doesn't
cute.
speak much. She can't speak English yet. I'm trying to teach her.
It's okay. You can start with Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese. I'll start with Japanese.
Oh man, that's exciting, man. Like, Dave, do you have any more questions? I don't want to keep Daniel too long.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, thanks so much, Dan. I think you've my puppy's going crazy. But yeah, I think there's a million more questions I want to ask you, but I think mindful of your time and mindful of our listeners' time. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, and I really appreciate this.
No worries, man. Hey, Dan, do you have any last words you want to share? Anything exciting you want to share, like what's coming up after? Because I know that you're taking a small sabbatical, but like anything
So-
exciting coming up that we should look forward to from you?
Technically, I'm taking a sabbatical, but unfortunately, because I'm stuck in KL, so I'm working on a couple of things. We're actually fundraising for PPE over in Sabah. Sabah is a state in Malaysia, like it's over on the west coast. Their COVID case has risen to.
Hey, do you have any
crazy
link?
amount.
Do you have any link that you want to share with us? Just send it over. We'll put it in our show notes, man.
Sure, will do. And yeah, I probably might end up organizing a conference or two coming up soon, like until January. So yeah, that to be announced. But
Hey,
most
nice,
of the time, I'm dedicated to the group. I'm dedicated to the entrepreneur group. So you can go to search for Entrepreneurs and Startup Malaysia. That will be the group with like 29,000 hitting 30,000 soon. Yeah.
Nice. Hopefully we'll push you guys over the edge because we'll tag that in show notes and we'll make sure to promote that as well. Is that the best way to reach you if anybody wants to partner up or anyone wants to get involved in the community?
Yeah, I think that's always the best way. I'm always there. So just give me a DM on Facebook or my email is a bit weird. So that's not the best way to get in touch with me.
Yeah, no worries, man. We'll make sure to we'll tag everything and we'll put all the links in our show notes so people know how best to reach you, man. Thanks a lot for your time, Dan. This was really, really informative and a lot of fun as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. I think our listeners will learn a lot. I learned a lot, so thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun for me too. So it's very rare for me to be at the side of the.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's exciting, dude. All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks a lot. Visit businessoverdrinks.com for the show notes and follow us on all social media, which right now is Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Search for Business
And
Over
YouTube.
Drinks. Oh, YouTube as well.
And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and comment. It'll mean a lot to us.
Yeah. David, that's how David sleeps at night.
That's how I sleep at night. I don't have friends. So
all right, guys. Have a good one.
good night.